What's going on, YouTubers, Mopar people? Mopar Man 1978 here. I just completed a video on prepping the head or heads on your engine. Works on any engine. I just happen to be working on Mopars. But this video is going to talk about leaky valve cover gaskets. Whether you have good quality chrome plated valve covers like these or the cheap ones, or if you happen to have any of the cast aluminum ones like the Mopar Performance ones, what I do is, of course, if they're new, I take a microfiber cloth, clean one, take some carbon choke cleaner or some brake cleaner, go around all around inside the gasket surface, clean it really good in case there's any oil on there to keep it from rusting up through shipping, the factory, or whatever, sitting on the shelf. Anyway, then what I do is I take a heavy grit sandpaper like this. This is 100 grit, or I might go a little bit heavier, and I go through every area of the gasket surface and really roughen the shit out of the gasket surface. Not enough to go through to scratch through the chrome plating, but enough to really give it a rough texture. Do that to the aluminum ones, even the factory stamped steel ones that don't have the chrome plating on it. I still have my set of small block Mopar Performance cast aluminum valve covers with a black wrinkle finish, but what I did was people were complaining about on those having valve cover gasket leaks as well. Well, I do the same thing, except I use a little bit rougher grit than the 100, because the 100 would clog up pretty easy. So I use, like, I don't know, 80 grit or something like that. Anyway, I really rough up the aluminum gasket surface, go back through, blow everything out, wipe everything down, make sure there's no grit inside there. Wash them if you have to, but just make sure the gasket surface is clean. I use cork rubber gaskets. I don't like the composite ones with the black coating on them, but I use the cork, and I use 700 degree copper Permatex gasket sealant on both sides of the gasket, not just one. Some people only do it on the top and then leave the gasket side that faces the head. They don't put any sealant on it. Well, anyway, I put it on both. And I also use the little, what I call wing brackets on the back side that takes the stress off of around the bowl hole. I always make sure to use a hammer to tap these flat on this side, tap them flat. Anyway, I'm going to be doing it to these valve covers for the 440. I already did it for the 318 in the squad car here. Been running the squad car for quite a while, test running it, letting it idle, no leaks. Done this to all of my valve covers on my slant 6, or the valve cover on my slant 6, valve covers on my 318 in my truck, and including the 360 that used to be in the truck that I got saved for a future build for my 65 Dart. But anyway, I've done this and I've had good results, no leaks, not even way down the road. And what's cool about, if you're real careful when you use the combination rubber cork gaskets, and you put the copper Permatex sealant on both sides, if you're real careful and you go to lift up on these valve covers, take your time, you can actually peel the valve cover gasket right off without damaging it. Take it, Clean both sides. Take a microfiber, clean both sides with some carbon choke cleaner. And when you go to put the valve cover back on, just put some more copper Permatex sealant on both sides, put it back on, and it seals right back up after you bolt it down. You can actually reuse it as long as you don't sit there and rip on it or pry on it and peel part of the gasket off and break it, rip it. Anyway, just a quick tech tip on the valve cover gaskets. And then one of my previous videos I talked about these trays to go underneath the intake. Clean all this gasket surface, both sides, make sure there's no oil or anything residue from the factory on it, dust, dirt, whatever. I got a little overspray. I'm going to go back through and clean all these off. I just got done painting this. And again, what I'm going to do is this entire surface, since there's nothing to do with the water passages like on the 318s and whatnot, small blocks, I put a thin layer of black RTV over this entire gasket surface through here, the divider, and around. And I do this whole entire top, let it cure thoroughly to where it's not tacky and it just turns like a rubbery texture on the top after it's fully cured. Flip it over, do the bottom side. I'll even do these here on both sides. Make sure there's no leaks, especially across these corners. Anyway, get that done, let that cure. Then right before I put it on the engine, I'll take some uncured black RTV again and go over the surfaces again on both sides, and then set this down on the block and then the intake down on top of this. I've done that and used the proper torque specs in sequence, and I've never had any oil leaks on my intakes, whether it be an Edelbrock aluminum intake or a cast iron intake. Anyway, this I'd give you a little tech tips on all that stuff, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hope you enjoyed this video.